is much more important.
I was in high school. It begins to there are other interests that compete with that, and I still remember in college being at the end of sophomore year of college, and it was St. Joseph's University. So the
St. Joe's, mighty.
Well, this was in Canada, not in Philadelphia.
Like I was going to say.
And he says, the spiritual director said, if you're serious about the priesthood, you have to make a decision this summer, because you have to major in philosophy, and so you need 2 solid years of philosophy.
So sophomore year going into junior year of college at St. Joe's in Canada, you were sort of given an ultimatum, like you got to pick a horse in this race.
It's the time to decide.
Now, prior to this, and this is personal, were you living just the life of just a guy? Because to us, laymen, you guys are just priests. We can't imagine a time when you're out there drinking and, chasing chicks and doing stuff with your buddies. Were you just out there doing your thing, or were you already leading like a monastic life where you thought, well, I might as well just do it anyway because I'm not sinning at all?
Well, I had 7 brothers and 4 sisters, and there was a lot, and hundreds of cousins, because both of my parents were from families of 12. They're very prolific families, and so I had all these first cousins. Everything went on, and I would Did
you have a girlfriend in college?
I did. Well, she was left over from high school. She
was a leftover.
She was.
So I think that's
the real girlfriend.
That's the thing, because most people that I have these conversations with that are not Christians, they immediately bring up the church's problems with the pedophilia, and the whole country just cringed when I said that. Like, no, or they went, "All right, good. I'm glad he's asking him." But it hits the ear hard, no matter how you splice it. Alan Havey, Penn Jillette, Bill Maher, these are just diehard atheists. And they'll say, "Wow, you're nuts. The Catholic Church is responsible for X, Y, and Z." And I always respond, "Well, not since I've been on board, and I don't know what to tell you." So we always, you think that priests, if you're a priest, the Catholic Church is this enormous closet, or we don't picture guys like Father Willy just having a girlfriend in high school. We just think you just think if your priest is your priest. That wasn't really a question. I'm trying to figure out a way to say this as respectfully as possible. Hey, what's with the pedophilia?
Sure.
How's that?
No, you said
your turn.
No, that's.
I'm going to drink my Perrier.
That's a fair question, because that's for the last actually 10 years now, since 2002. It's been very prominent in the news, and it's an issue. Actually, I think the Catholic Church has been the most publicized, and I don't think it's all unfair. I think a lot of it is fair. The only thing I would say is that the other Christian churches have, even though they have married clergy, have virtually the same incidents of pedophilia in there.
That's what I said once, and I got blown apart.
No, it's true. You can
they're just like rabbis and. Any person in power. Yeah, I think the Catholic Church gets blown up because it's gay. Mm-hmm. It's boys, men and boys, and it gets magnified in the media spotlight. Because what better way to never have to confront your sexuality and being serious than to become a priest and think of vow of celibacy? Now I never have to think about it again. Whew,
right.
I never have to confront all that.
It's not the way it happens. I mean, it may, and the, I think the people that the priests that they've that have been publicly found out and have stepped forward and have gone to prison and all of that, I think there's a lot to that they never grew up, and that's at the heart of it. But you find the same thing among other churches and Jewish communities and school teachers. Anyway, so all I would say is that I think the media has been fair, and I think it's good that this has all been brought out. It really should not be overstated, because I can tell you personally, being I went to Catholic university, lived in a parish growing up, and then was in the seminary at Stonehill College in Massachusetts, and then at the University of Notre Dame for 4 years, and in all of those years, I never encountered any kind of there are people who say he's probably gay, or but I never encountered any open gay activity in the seminary.
It seems almost like a generational thing, where back in the 50s or 40s, like pre the Willies and Tims and Monsignor Torgenson's, like pre that, it seemed like almost a way to hedge your bet if you were a gay male. And it seems like there were more gay priests. Like when you meet an old priest, you go, oh, wow. And now it seems like these are the kung fu surfing, well, like, let's go to the movies. And who said that? I'll kick any man's ass in this theater right now. Priest, and I think I've said basically what you've said to other people. And I think because of the media spotlight, the Catholic Church, the one I go to, St. Monica's, and the people that I know that are Catholic, today's Catholics, the Catholic Church has sort of been forced to be more progressive than it would really want to be. Like having gay and lesbian mass and having just a sign above the door, all are welcome. And I've just been a staunch defender. I love my church, and that's the way I feel. And I think it's particularly painful because in the mind of a priest, my spouse is the church. It's the people of God. I'm giving my whole life to that. So for this kind of betrayal to take place is really harmful to all of us. It's harmful to you. It's harmful to me. And I would say what I know of the Catholic Church, I love it. I will continue to love it until the day I die. And because it really is the body of Christ, and we're all part of that. So it's here's an incident that I think helps make sense out of this. I know a showrunner in Hollywood who she converted to Catholicism, I think in 2004, and she was telling me that a good friend of hers said, "How can you be joining an organization that has all these pedophiles in it and all the other scandals?" And she said, "Oh, it's not about that. And what it's about is it's really not about doctrines. It's not about a program for life or a philosophy. The Catholic Church and Christianity in general is about an event, an encounter with our Lord Jesus Christ, and that is at the very heart of it. So if you have that relationship, then they can attack, and there will always be. The church has never been perfect. It's made up of human beings, so it's always going to have scandals attached to it. You can see the Borgias on HBO and all of that. That's been there down through the centuries. But it's also produced all these incredible people like Mother Teresa of Calcutta and Francis of Assisi and Catherine of Siena and all these amazing. I wish we just did a time lapse just right now, and like it's an hour from now, and Father Willy's going, and the other Saint Teresa, and Saint Peter, and Saint. You just name every saint and where they're from. Like just a time lapse. You just see our shadows move around our bodies. I will say this though: since Father Willy started talking, since he said the word "body of Christ," it's nighttime, as you are all witness. Bird singing. Bird singing right outside. Did you guys hear the bird? Can you pick it up on the mics?
Hear them,
yeah, bird singing. It's just kind of weird and neat and cool and groovy. So between sophomore and junior year of college, you had to make the decision whether or not you wanted to give your life to Christ.
Yes.
How hard a decision was it?
I knew it was a turning point in my life, and it was very hard that summer. I went down. I was from Maine, so I went to Portland. They have a battery of tests that you take, and and waited a few weeks. Then I got the word, yes, you're accepted. You're to report to the Grand Seminary in Montreal to begin studies in September.
Avec les habitants?
Oui, avec les habitants.
Tu parles français aussi?
Oui, je parle français.
D'accord, mon frère.
And so my brother was driving me to Montreal, and when we got to the suburbs, I said, stop and turn this car around. I'm not going through with this. So we went back home, and then I went to see the parish priest at the time, and he was disappointed to see me back so soon. And I said, it never occurred to me at all until we got to just outside of Montreal that I never thought about joining Holy Cross, but that's the order that ran St. Joseph's. It's the order that runs Notre Dame. It's it's got a lot of other involvements all around the world. But and I was slow, I guess, at that time because I didn't even think about the order that's running this school.
What freaked you out the most when you hit those suburbs?
When I got to the suburbs, I was thinking, wow, I love the priests back in my parish. We were just blessed with very good men, and at the same time, the spirit among the priests at the university was amazing, and they were bright, they were good models, they were for the most part very good men that I admired, and so I asked this priest. At the pastor, I said, "Are there Holy Cross priests in the States?" Because I was an American. I didn't want to be a Canadian. So
yeah, I mean, who wants to be a Canadian?
Yeah. He said, "Yes, they're at Notre Dame, and they're oh yeah." So within a couple of weeks, I went down to Stonehill College in Massachusetts and finished college there, and then went to Notre Dame for theology.
But same question: how hard a decision was it? Was it something that you lost sleep over, or was it a calling where you went, this is where I'm supposed to go? No,
the way the way it made sense to me, or I don't know if this will make sense to you, but I thought I was very idealistic, and I said, what is the best thing that I can do with my life? And that's what it was.
That's the simplest answer anybody ever could have given. That's perfect.
And for me, it still would be the same answer.
I think if I was going to be a priest, though, that drive to Montreal, my brother would have stopped at every bar and brothel on the way in. If you go to rehab, he's going to spit out his water. Sorry. That's my father really...
I'm going to be squirting all over.
Nobody goes to rehab sober. Do you know what I mean? You got to eat every Vicodin you've ever owned on the way up the hill. So if I was going to go
fling before,
if I was going to go to the seminary, I would just be rolling through Montreal with parachute pants and an Amex card. Let's do it. I'm going to the strip club with sweatpants. Let's do it. But there was none of that. You never had this wild I'm giving up all my earthly possessions. I'm going to be celibate for the rest of my life. That was never a source of angst for you.
You know what?
I have anxiety now thinking about it.
A couple years later, the cost really came home because we have after the first year as they're called a postulant. You're asking to be admitted, so they're testing you. They're watching what you do and all of that, and you're trying to discover if this really is what you should be doing, what God's calling you to do, and so after that year, then you go through a whole year and a day of novitiate, which is a year of prayer. And in our case, we were in Bennington, Vermont, working on a farm, and going to bed at 9 o'clock at night, waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning. And
it's like having kids.
It's
like having a 1-year-old.
So you realize, wow, this is not easy.
So I'm keeping priest hours.
Yeah, you are.
I'm asleep by 9, and I'm up at 5.
Yeah,
except I don't work on a farm.
But you can get off the property. We could, if we left the property, the novitiate, just the territory, you had to start all over again.
Really?
Like Groundhog's Day.
Is that just to test your will, to test your obedience?
No, it's part of canon law. They say for the novitiate year, you have to be in one place under observation. Oh, sorry, for the whole year, and you and the schedule. Most of it is silence. Like at night after supper, it's grand silence, no talking at all. Now, we have to be honest here, so we did a lot of talking during grand silence. But
I'm like, I'm out. I'll never be a priest. You'd have to cut out my tongue and slit my throat.
We weren't supposed to talk while we were working on the farm and all of that, but we had pigs and chickens and cows to milk and planting big fields of corn and all of that and working. I actually, that part of it I really loved because my father